The checking account was empty. Not low, not overdrawn by a little. Empty. The notification came through while I was standing in the break room at work, pouring coffee I didn't even want, and I stared at my phone screen long enough that my coworker asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine. I wasn't fine. I had $23,400 in that account 3 days ago. I know the exact number because I checked it obsessively, the way you do when you've been saving for something that actually matters. I've been building that fund for 4 years. Every birthday check from my grandmother. Every tax refund. Every month where I packed my lunch instead of ordering out. Every Friday night I said no to happy hour because I had a goal. A down payment on a condo. My own place. The first real thing I would ever own. And now the balance read $0. I sat down on the break room couch and called my bank. The representative was patient and kind, which somehow made it worse. She walked me through the transaction history. One wire transfer. Initiated 2 days ago. The account it came from was a joint savings account I hadn't looked at in over a year. The one I'd set up with my mother when I was 19 and too young to know better. Back when she insisted a family account was safer, and I believed her because she was my mother, and I thought that meant she was on my side. I forgot she still had access. I don't know how long I sat there after I hung up. Long enough for my coffee to go cold. Long enough for my manager to poke his head in and ask if I needed to go home. I said no. I went back to my desk and I spent the rest of the afternoon answering emails and pretending that my entire future hadn't just been rearranged without my permission. My mother called at 6:14 p.m. I know because I stared at her name on my screen through four rings before I picked up. "Sweetheart," she said, "I've been trying to reach you all afternoon." "I know," I said. There was a pause. Then I wanted to explain before you heard from the bank. I already heard from the bank. Another pause, longer this time. "Your brother needed it," she said. "He needed it, and you have a good job, and you can save again, and he's your brother, and this family takes care of each other." I want to tell you that I said something sharp and powerful right then. I didn't. I said very quietly, "Mom, that was my down payment." And she said, "I know, baby, but your brother's situation is urgent." And I said, "What situation?" And she told me. My brother is 31 years old. He has a girlfriend named, well, it doesn't matter what her name is. What matters is that she's pregnant, and they decided they needed a bigger apartment, and they'd found one they loved, and the deposit was due by end of week. And my mother had decided, without consulting me, without even calling me, that my savings were the solution to his problem. "It's a loan," my mother said. "He'll pay you back." "He has never paid anyone back anything in his life," I said. "That's not fair." "It is completely fair." It is the most factually accurate sentence I have ever said. My brother is not a bad person. I want to be clear about that. He's funny and warm and the kind of guy who remembers your favorite ice cream flavor and shows up with it when you're sad. He's also been financially unstable since he was 22, has borrowed money from every member of our family, and has a deeply consistent track record of good intentions that somehow never translate into repayment. My parents know this. I know this. Everyone knows this. And yet here we were. "I need you to put it back," I said. My mother's voice shifted. Not loud. My mother doesn't yell. She just gets very still and very certain, which is somehow worse. "He is your brother," she said. "And this baby is going to be your niece or nephew. Do you understand what that means? This is family." "That's my money," I said, "that I saved. For 4 years. And you can save it again. You're young. You don't have children. You don't have a mortgage. You have time." I hung up. I'm not proud of that, but I hung up. I hung up. I'm not proud of that, but I hung up. I called my best friend. She's known me since we were 12, and she has never once told me I was overreacting when I wasn't. I sat on my apartment floor and told her the whole thing while she made dinner on the other end of the line. And when I finished, she was quiet for a second and then she said, "Okay, so here's what you're going to do." She walked me through it. Call a lawyer first thing in the morning. Document everything. Don't move any money or do anything the bank might flag. Keep records of every conversation. She'd been through something similar with her own family. Different circumstances, and she knew what the process looked like. I wrote everything down. I didn't sleep that night. My father called the next morning. He's different from my mother. Softer, more careful with his words, always playing mediator. He started with "I love you," and I knew immediately that he was calling to smooth things over rather than fix them. "Your mother feels terrible," he said, which I doubted. She panicked. You know how she gets when she thinks one of you is in trouble. "I'm in trouble, Dad." "I know, sweetheart, I know. But your brother, I need it back." He sighed. The particular sigh of a man who has spent 30 years managing 2 people and is very tired. "He's already signed the lease," he said. "The money's been used." I had to sit down. "He signed the lease," I said. "Yesterday afternoon. Your mother called him as soon as she transferred the funds. He moved fast because—" "Please stop talking," I said. And he did. I called the lawyer at 9 a.m. Her name is Theodora. She was referred to me by my co-worker whose sister went through a contentious divorce, and she came very highly recommended. She explained the situation clearly and without drama, which I appreciated. Since the account was technically joint and my mother was a co-owner, the transfer was legal, which meant I couldn't go after the bank. What I could do was pursue the money as a personal loan in civil court, or reach a family settlement. She laid out both options, their costs, their timelines, their likely outcomes. "What do you want?" she asked me at the end. "I want my money back," I said. "Then let's go get it." We sent a formal demand letter that week, certified mail to my parents' address, which I know sounds dramatic and cold, but Theodora told me that informal requests are easy to deny. A certified letter creates a paper trail. It states clearly that the funds are expected to be returned within 30 days or legal action will follow. She drafted it in language that was firm without being hostile, professional without being cruel. I signed it and mailed it on a Tuesday morning, standing outside the post office in my work clothes, and my hands were shaking a little. My mother called 40 minutes later. She must have been watching for it. "What is this?" she said. It wasn't a question. "It's a demand letter," I said, "from my attorney." Silence. Then, "Your attorney." "Yes. You hired a lawyer. Against your own family. You took $23,000 from my bank account without telling me. I want it back. Your brother needs—" "I know what my brother needs," I said. "What I need is my down payment, the one I saved for 4 years, the one you took." She hung up on me. My father texted an hour later. "Your mother is very upset. Can we please talk about this as a family before it goes any further?" I texted back, "I'm happy to talk. The money still needs to be returned within 30 days. He didn't respond. My brother called that evening. I almost didn't answer, but then I thought about 4 years of packed lunches and skipped happy hours and birthday checks from Grandma, and I picked up. He started with, "I'm sorry." He sounded like he meant it. He probably did mean it. That's the thing about my brother. He's genuinely sorry, always genuinely sorry, and then 6 months later he's in another situation that requires someone else to solve. "I didn't know she was going to use your account," he said. "She told me she had the money handled and I didn't ask. I should have asked." "You should have," I agreed. "We can work out a payment plan," he said. "Me and her, we'll pay you back over time. I promise." I thought about every other promise. Not with anger, just with clarity. I'd reached a point where I could see the full shape of things without the fog of wanting to believe otherwise. "I need it all back," I said. "Not a payment plan. All of it. That's not realistic right now." "I know," I said. "And I'm still going to need it." He got quieter. "So you're really going to take Mom and Dad to court?" "I'm going to do what I have to do to get my money back. How that happens is up to the family." He said my name, just my name, soft and sad, and for a second I felt the pull of it, the particular gravity of being someone's little sister, of having spent your whole life in the orbit of a family that loves you imperfectly but does love you, of knowing that whatever happens next will leave a mark on all of you. Then I thought about the empty account balance, and I held the line. The 30 days passed without any payment, without any serious conversation, really. There were texts and a few tense phone calls where my mother cycled through hurt and righteousness, and occasionally something that sounded almost like guilt, but nothing that resulted in action. My father arranged a dinner in week 3, the 4 of us plus my brother and his girlfriend, who looked uncomfortable the entire meal and barely touched her food. My mother had cooked everything I liked, which was either an olive branch or a manipulation, and I sat there eating pot roast and thinking about Theodora's next steps. "We want to make this right," my father said over dessert. "Okay," I said. "How?" He and my mother exchanged a look. "We were thinking," my mother started, "that your brother could add you to his renter's insurance policy, and then as he pays down the—" "No," I said. "Honey, no. I want the money, not a policy, not a payment plan, not a series of promises. The money." My mother set down her fork. "Do you have any idea how this makes your brother feel? He's about to be a father. He's stressed. He's doing his best." "I have been doing my best for 4 years," I said. "I did my best every single month to save that money, and now it's gone, and he has a new apartment, and I'm still in the same place I've been, except now I'm also out $23,000. "We'll help you save again," she said. "We can put a little in every month." "I don't want your monthly contributions," I said. "I want my money." My brother was looking at the table. His girlfriend was looking at her hands. My father was looking at my mother. My mother was looking at me with the expression I'd seen my whole life, the one that said she couldn't understand why I was making things difficult when the answer was so simple. Put family first. Let it go. Be the good daughter. I'd been the good daughter for 31 years. I excused myself to use the bathroom. I stood at the sink and looked at myself in the mirror for a minute. Then I texted Theodora. Dinner didn't resolve anything. Ready to move forward? She replied in under 2 minutes, filing Monday. We filed in civil court. The case was straightforward in legal terms. The joint account complicates direct theft charges, but the documented intent of the funds. I had years of transfers labelled Conto Fund, messages to friends about saving for a down payment. Even a saved Zillow search history helped establish that my mother had transferred money she knew was mine for a purpose she knew I hadn't consented to. Theodora was methodical and calm throughout the whole process, which helped me stay the same. My mother hired her own attorney, which, honestly, I hadn't expected. I think part of me had believed the filing would be enough to prompt a settlement. Instead, she hired a man who sent us a letter arguing that the transfer was an inter-family loan arrangement, and that I had verbally agreed to help my brother at some prior point in time. I had not. We had documentation to that effect. The counter-argument fell apart fairly quickly during discovery. My father called me the night after the first hearing. He didn't try to argue this time. He just said, "I didn't want it to go this far." "Neither did I," said, and that was the truth. I didn't want any of this. I didn't want to sue my parents. I didn't want to sit in the courtroom watching my mother avoid eye contact. I didn't want to be the person who drew a hard line with her family. But I also didn't want to spend another 4 years saving for a life that could be taken from me again the moment someone decided my needs mattered less than theirs. The settlement came 6 weeks after filing. My parents agreed to repay the full $23,400, structured as a series of transfers from the sale of some investments my father had been holding. It wasn't immediate. It came in 3 installments over 90 days. But I watched each transfer hit my account, and I moved every cent to a new account my mother's name was nowhere near. My brother sent me a text the day after the settlement was signed. It said, "I know you did what you had to do. I'm not mad. I hope we're okay." I sat with that for a long time before I responded. Then I wrote, "We're okay, but I need you to understand that I will never be someone's emergency fund again, not even yours." He didn't reply right away. When he did, he just said, "That's fair. My parents and I have a relationship. I want to be clear about that. We talk on the phone. I went home for the holidays. My mother made pot roast again, and we sat at the same table and had a mostly normal meal. And there were moments that felt like what we used to be. And there were moments that felt like sitting next to someone you'd seen clearly for the first time and couldn't quite unsee. I'm not angry anymore. I want to be clear about that too. The anger was useful. It got me to Theodora's office. It got me through the 30-day waiting period. It got me through the dinner that resolved nothing. But I don't live in it. I let it do its job, and then I let it go. What I kept instead was simpler. I understand now what my boundaries have to be. I understand that love and respect are not the same thing, and that a family can offer you plenty of one while withholding the other. I understand that advocating for yourself is not the same as being selfish, even when the people you love frame it that way. The condo closed on a Thursday in March. It's a two-bedroom unit on the third floor with big windows and a kitchen that gets good light in the morning and a closet that is finally, big enough. I signed the papers at title company downtown and the woman across the table handed me the keys and said congratulations, and I sat in my car in the parking garage for about 10 minutes just holding them. I didn't call my mother. I called my best friend. She answered on the first ring, and when I told her, she screamed so loudly I had to hold the phone away from my ear, and I laughed until my eyes watered, sitting in that parking garage with my keys in my hand and my name on a deed for the first time in my life. That's the part I want to remember, not the courtroom, not my mother's face at that dinner table, not the empty account notification in the break room, the keys. The light through the big windows. My best friend screaming with joy on the other end of the phone. That's what 4 years of packed lunches actually bought me.